right, let's talk about how to strengthen the third eye, what it means, and some steps for you to connect with this part in your body. Now, if you're wanting to understand the pineal gland a little bit more from a scientific standpoint, I recommend checking out this guy, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He is the man behind the science of the pineal gland, understanding how it works, and basically from a biological standpoint, its place in our body and what it does. But I will touch on what it does, what it is, and how you can strengthen it to tap into the superpower that you have, that we all have. We all have the pineal gland within our body. It is located right between our eyes. That's why it's called third eye, right almost at the base of our brain, kind of in the middle center area. This little tiny gland basically connects you with information from the unseen. So you can think of it also as fine-tuning our intuition, because that is part of it. And I'm going to talk about how it works within our body as far as the sensory aspect. But it is an actual biological aspect of our being that connects us with information from, you can say, the cosmos, your higher self, or intuition, sensing and feeling the space around you, the world around you. So it is one of the most important parts of our being that we don't really get taught how to use this, or we aren't really informed of the potentials of the third eye, of this aspect within ourselves. So dealing with the chakras also, I should mention that the third eye is the chakra is the sixth chakra that has, I believe, an indigo color. You can work on it with regards to chakra alignment and chakra work to focus on your practice, to concentrate on this aspect within yourself. It basically represents the connectedness with the higher realms or with the ethereal, being able to see beyond the material realm, our conscious knowing, I would say. In another video that I uploaded recently, I had touched on the conscious level of awareness that we have within ourselves. And this is our conscious mind. This is the part of ourselves that is very comfortable in the knowing, being able to rationalize, being able to make sense of things. But we can only go so far with that. And that's where our unconscious self comes in. But the problem with that, and this is according to Carl Jung, which is fantastic information and very important to know, is when our conscious mind feels comfortable with what it knows, it has almost a limitation to what it wants to explore in the unconscious. And the unconscious is the unseen aspect of ourself. And I do feel that the pineal gland is connected with our unconscious self. It's all connected at the end of the day. Very much connected with our emotions, very much connected with our senses, which I'll touch on in just a moment. But our conscious mind, our level of awareness, our knowledge, our knowing, our analytical, rational mind likes to make sense of things. And we come from this kind of world. We come from this type of world, this type of construction within ourselves, programming, if you will. And so we become accustomed to thinking a certain way. We become accustomed to understanding life a certain way through our logical, rational mind. But that only gets us so far. And so when we start to tap into our unconscious, when we start to even question things about ourselves or dive into the unknown, our conscious mind will send almost a barrier, not allowing us to venture into the unknown. It may show up in a way of just avoiding it altogether. It may show up in the way of doubting. It may show up in a way of questioning. It may show up in a way of, no, I don't want to know that, or no, that's not the truth. Completely denying something altogether. These are very unconscious mechanisms that come up that prevent us from exploring our depths. And this is one of the most important aspects of our existence. I can't stress this enough, and it is very overlooked. Just like our emotions are grossly overlooked. We're not taught how to understand or connect with our emotions, or heal our emotions, or connect with our heart and understand what our intuition is. This is almost like a superpower that we have. It is incredible. And I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, I was told by a reader, by a seer, that my third eye had been shattered. And that fascinated me. That made me really reflect into what is the third eye exactly? What function does it have within my body, within my psyche, within my existence? So going back in time, when I was told that my third eye had been shattered, I became curious as to what that meant and how I could repair it. But through the process of understanding what the third eye is and how it relates to myself, opened my eyes a lot. It opened my eye, literally. So I'm going to share the steps with you. I'm going to also give some guidance as far as the do's and the don'ts of how to strengthen this aspect within yourself. And remember, this is a very fine part of ourself. It is very sensitive, and when we start to connect with it, it becomes stronger. But it takes a lot of focus and a lot of dedication to get comfortable with what it is and to start to turn our senses on, or to turn your senses on to understand how it works within yourself. And so when we connect with our senses within our emotions, we become more heightened. We become more sensitive. We dial in within ourselves, but also with life itself. And we start to interpret emotions, and we start to interpret language and people and senses a bit differently. And especially with this component within ourselves, we can pick up on incredible information, a lot of information that is not available in our rational mind and in our material world. So we're able to expand our consciousness or our level of awareness into a whole new sensory experience. And that's why this is a very crucial part of understanding within yourself and how it works with you and how you can fine-tune it to strengthen it and to work with it for your advantage. First of all, I want to also preface that emotions are extremely important. I did touch on it already. The emotional aspect of our being is crucial. I cannot express that enough. That understanding our emotions, our heart, our feelings, tuning in with our body, tuning in with our heart is so important. And it does go hand in hand with this component within ourselves, because our senses, our emotions are basically our filter, but also offer us a lot of information of how to translate how we're feeling, what we're sensing, what we're picking up as far as messages, guidance, or inspiration. So when we tune in with our third eye, with our pineal gland, with this little tiny part within our body, this little tiny antenna, we are able to understand life a bit more, but we're also able to tune in to creative inspiration, creative ideas, that genius, if you will. Also being able to listen for guidance, listen for even the answers that we're looking for, searching for. Being in pause and being in quiet gives us the answers to many things in life. And I have found that by tuning in, my life has become simpler. We live in a very complicated world. We have overcomplicated everything. We have overcomplicated so much in our lives, and our lives are really not that complicated when you start to understand this. And I was blown away by, wow, okay, this is actually simple, and this is actually easy, and life can be simple and can be easy, but we complicate it. And we also come from very traumatic, potentially backgrounds where we may feel very fragmented, we may feel very scattered, we may have a lot of anxiety, but that's also a product of society and our modern culture. We have become so grossly out of touch with ourselves and out of alignment within ourselves and with life itself. And so this allows us to tune in, and it allows us to find that calm and that stillness within ourselves and to really understand ourselves in a deeper way, and life itself, to be honest. So some of the do's, I will walk through some of the things that I did to repair my third eye and to connect with it. And now it is one of my greatest strengths, I have to say. But it took years to work on it. And I would say that I was starting from ground zero. I have a very intuitive sense of self, but I was not listening to my intuition. And again, that's a product of society. We're not taught how to listen to our inner compass, what feels right for us. We are taught to rationalize, to study, to be in our mind, to have a rationale for everything. But that's not how life works. And like I said, we've overcomplicated things so much. So by tuning in, we simplify. We tune in and we gain a lot of information that way. And we also get to heal ourselves too. We instinctively, intuitively know what is best for us when we start tuning in. We are better, we are easier on our body, we make better choices for ourselves. We start to differentiate our relationship with others, with the world, what choices we need to make, etc. So this little tiny antenna that we have within ourselves becomes stronger over time. So as being naturally an intuitive person, I felt deeply, I understood people very deeply. I had big questions about life ever since I was really young, but I never knew how to work with this. I never knew how to honor it or how to understand it. And so I feel over time, especially due to other life circumstances, I became so removed from it and I wasn't listening to my intuition. And therefore I went into perpetual cycles of loss and of difficulties over and over and over again. I also have to mention, when we are tuned in with ourselves, we make sound choices. We know what is right for us. We know what choices, what decisions to make moving forward, etc. So the first step that I did to strengthen my third eye and to connect with it was I stopped drinking coffee. So coffee, any kind of stimulants, coffee, caffeine, even sugar, are really hard on the body and completely disassociate us from our senses. So any kind of stimulants create a very strong activity, a response within our body, anxiety, energy, for example, but it creates such a strong stimulation that we become disassociated from our senses, that fine sensory aspect of ourselves. And like I said, it's a very, very gentle, soft, subtle practice. But once you dip into it and once you align with it, it becomes stronger. So we need to go from where we were in I would say, disassociated or lack of sensory or lack of intuitive self into a more sensory, sensitive experience or connection within ourselves. And so that transition can take some time to get used to, right? So I used to drink coffee all the time. I used to have double Americanos every day. I've talked about this before on my videos, but now I don't drink coffee anymore. If anything, maybe a matcha green tea every now and then, but I love connecting and I love feeling, because for me, then I understand myself and I'm able to navigate my life and my day-to-day better. Also, too, I just have to mention in general, coffee, when you drink coffee, it really throws off your natural regulation within yourself, your natural biorhythm that you have within yourself. And when I stopped drinking coffee, I noticed my senses became stronger. I noticed that I was more tuned in. I was feeling more. I was understanding my body more. And I was actually more productive. Because remember, your third eye, your pineal gland, is connected to greater information, greater wisdom, greater knowledge. So when you are tapped into that, then you are going to receive more information and quality information. It's going to be more quiet. It's going to be quieter. It's going to be less noisy. And you're going to also feel the pressure taken off, because we have to, in our modern world, it's almost like we have to know the answers for everything or have our mind on all the time. But that's not the most optimal way of functioning, right? So this is moving us more into an optimal alignment. And so we can have quality over quantity, and we can tap into greater wisdom and greater knowledge. So coffee and caffeine are going to be out altogether. Any like black teas, for example, sugars as well. Sugars naturally are not healthy. Sugar is really hard on the brain, and naturally it will get in the way and act as almost an interference with your third eye, with your senses. The other one is going to be try to avoid any kind of chemicals. A lot of people talk about fluoride. I have to agree with that. So try not to take in any fluoride. I know it's difficult in some areas, depending on where you are in the world. I know fluoride is actually put into water right now, which is really disgusting. I don't understand how that was even legal. And the rationale behind it does not make sense. But try to drink as pure water as possible. Try to avoid any chemicals in your food, in what you're drinking especially, or even in your toothpaste. So try to use all natural toothpaste, of course. But the purpose is, and it's just a general, I feel, best practice, is to feed your body with the good stuff. You know, avoid chemicals, avoid additives, avoid sugars, caffeine. But the thing is, we become, again, very accustomed to eating certain ways. So it may take a while to adjust to a new way of eating, a new diet regime, for example. I found that over my years of experimenting and trying different diets, diets were the hardest to change, the food habits, because we are very habitual creatures. We are very habitual. We like our rituals and what we are used to eating. But sometimes when we're not being aware of what we're eating, we're just used to eating certain things. We become very accustomed to our habits, even if they aren't healthy for us. So again, avoid caffeine, coffee, stimulants, sugar especially, and any kind of chemicals. So fluoride especially, anything that is going to be harmful for the body. And read labels, be very aware and very cautious around what you are consuming. And I know it sounds very picky, but it will make a huge difference. It helps clean your system up of any kind of impurities. Right. And so the more pure that you can be, the more aligned, the more senses you will uncover within yourself, and you'll be able to tune in and strengthen that intuition. I also want to mention that you may have followed Greg Braden before or watched many of his videos, and he talks about heart math. He talks about the heart actually having a mini brain within it. And the heart, according to research, has proven that the heart responds first to life situations. The heart is almost the first source of information based on life experiences, right? So the heart is sensing first. The heart sends information into the body. So I feel that the heart and the pineal gland can actually connect really well together. So if you are tuned in with your heart, with your emotions, and also practicing connecting with your third eye, then your intuition will increase. You will become very, very attuned and very responsive to life events within yourself, within your body. And it definitely helps with healing and transformation. And of course, manifestation. Like the root cause of our creation in our world is here. 100%. It comes from within here. And I've talked about this in many videos before. We can create a certain lifestyle. We can be on the treadmill, going towards success, working really hard, but things catch up to us. And if we're not paying attention, if we're not tuned in, what we are suppressing, what we are ignoring, and of course, in the unconscious self is going to catch up sooner or later. So this gives us an ability to become more aware within ourselves, to listen deeply and to listen intently and to tune in, right? And so it's valuable for so many things in our lives. It also allows us to cultivate greater trust with ourselves, with the universe, with our path forward, because we're able to tune in. So another exercise would be to meditate. So I meditate probably 10 to 15 minutes a day in the morning, and sometimes I try at night. I have a bad habit at night. I know I look at my phone. I shouldn't, but that aside, meditation, try it once a day, 10 to 15 minutes. If you are new to meditation, try 5 minutes. It is so important to turn our mind off and to tune in, because our mind is going all day long. And a lot of our thoughts are unnecessary thoughts. We can burn our brain out, literally. We can burn ourselves out just by thinking and overthinking and ruminating. So it allows us again to drop out of the mind and to connect with our senses and to tune in, right? What is that little antenna tuning into? When we meditate, we can tune into messages, we can receive guidance, we can receive creative ideas and guidance within ourselves of what to do next in order to create our future, in order to create the life we want. And this could lead us to healing something. This could lead us to finding the right piece of content on YouTube, for example. This can lead us to all of a sudden just knowing what to do and how to do it. It is remarkable when you're in that place. It is such a superpower that we all have within us. So again, meditation is going to be really important. Clearing the mind, going for walks, finding quietness within your day once a day, carving it out and making space for yourself to tune in and connect. And like I said, this is going to give you so much valuable information. I'm also going to leave a really cool meditation that I found. It is binaural beats meditation, I believe. That did help me connect, and I was listening to it at night before I went to bed for quite some time. It's really interesting, so I'll leave it below if you're interested in listening to it. But again, avoiding any stimulants, avoiding any kind of chemicals, making sure that you're cautious around what you're drinking, your water, for example. Take time to meditate meditate, and you can even do third eye activation, imagining the indigo color of your third eye igniting in the space and just feeling and sensing and opening up. You can even ask for guidance, asking for answers, asking for guidance, not from a place of desperation or fear, I want to say, because that's going to be in the shadow. That's going to be another area to look at altogether, but tuning in and feeling, what do I need to know today? What do I need to know today? What can I work on today? And I have to say that now I can't even keep up to all of the content ideas that I have for YouTube. I have a whole spreadsheet of ideas and they keep coming. They're downloading all the time. I can't keep up. I can't record fast enough. So when you open your mind, when you open your third eye, you not only see and sense more about our multidimensional self, but you also become more inspired. You'll have creative ideas. You'll have a greater sense of trust with yourself and alignment with the universe, and you'll be able to navigate interpersonal relationships. And these are all fundamental important aspects of our existence that we all should practice. Humanity as a whole, it really will, I feel, save humanity in many ways if we could connect with ourselves deeper. And when we could connect even with this aspect within ourselves, right? It allows us to tune in rather than tuning out as a byproduct of our society. All right, so I'm wishing you all the best on your path forward and beyond, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care.